the business of sports has changed really the competition of really, you look at these superstars now on these different teams. In the 80s and the 70s, the Oakland Raiders hated the Bears, and the Bears hated the Oakland Raiders. And whenever they played, no matter how many people you thought liked each other, they were out there to kill each other. It wasn't about the money. It was about the
vengeance of the rivalries.
The vengeance, the fame, and really putting your name out there as a Hall of Famer. Now it's not even about the Hall of Fame. It's about what endorsements you're going to get, what brands you're going to work with going forward as a professional athlete. Are you going to work with Reebok, Nike, Adidas, Puma, whatever organization you want to work with that's going to give you a product that you're going to be able to sell and make money off of. And if you look at the contracts that some of these players are getting now, it's outrageous. You got Chris Paul right now entering his 14th or 15th, maybe even longer than that.
I think it's his 15th season.
15th NBA season. And this guy's making $42 million a year. $42 million a year. When you look at Patrick Ewing, how about this? Michael Jordan. The most Michael Jordan ever made in a year, I think it was like $20 million, $19 million.
Well, Michael Jordan also makes like $5 million a day, or maybe even more with his Air Jordan.
No, he doesn't make $5 million a day. He has a contract with Nike where he makes $45 to $50 million a year.
Okay.
A year for the rest of his life.
All right. Well,
that's a lot of money.
He might accumulate that off whatever.
Could you imagine that
he gets with the shoes?
Imagine making $50 million a year for the rest of your life from Nike. You don't really have to do anything.
Nope.
You don't have to do anything. You own the Charlotte Hornets. You own all these different golf courses, and you sit back and you look at Michael Jordan. Billionaire is not even the word. I mean, this guy's an all-time great, if not the greatest athlete to ever play the sport in the sports world here in the United States and throughout the world, in my eyes. But you look at business in sports, it's taken over, really, the competitive fashion of what sports really should be. These guys are now all about getting that extension, that money, that big contract, that they're going to get their 160, 170 million. I'm talking about baseball players. And then they don't have to play anymore. They get their contract like Jacoby Ellsbury from the New York Yankees, and he decides, I don't need to play anymore. I got that contract. That contract is guaranteed. I don't have to play good anymore. And football players, who I think is the biggest joke in professional sports, because nothing is guaranteed but the signing bonus that they get. These players, they have to play well year in and year out, or they're screwed.
Yeah, they don't get the longest deals in terms of the length, like baseball, and even hockey players get 8-year deals. Football players, you'd be lucky if you get a 5-year deal. You have to be that good.
But you have to look at football. Football players, they really don't like each other. If they're playing for an organization that doesn't like another organization, like Pittsburgh and the Browns, as an organization, as two organizations.
The Browns. That would be the example to use. How about the Bengals?
Bengals, or even the
Steelers and Bengals have hated each other for years. Yeah.
Or the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm just saying, these teams, they used to hate each other, and they still hate each other. Only in football do these teams still, these players, when they go to these organizations, hate those other organizations, even if your best friend is playing for that organization.
The Bengals-Steelers 2015 playoff game is a great indicator of that.
It's not like it used to be in hockey or basketball or even baseball, how much the Red Sox hated the Yankees. And even when you heard the whole Aaron Judge, when he passed and he was playing New York, passing the Red Sox locker room. And I know everybody's going to sit here and tell me, well, the Red Sox still don't like the Yankees. Meanwhile, over the years, Robinson Cano was so close with David Ortiz and Pedro Martinez. I mean, these teams, these players, they love each other now. It's not about arch enemies or arch organizations hating each other. It really isn't like that in professional sports. It's pay me, what am I making off this deal? Even these kids buying jerseys, they're not buying the jerseys because they love the team. They're buying the jerseys because they love the player. How many times do you walk around, you look at a Golden State Warrior jersey that people are wearing, the Steph Curry, the number. And you look at Steph Curry and you're just like, are you really a Golden State Warrior fan or are you just a Steph Curry? Oh, I'm a Golden State Warrior fan. Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, name 5 other players on the team.
When I went to Miller's Ale House one night for the NBA Finals, and I walked into Miller's Ale House, and this is a New York area. This is not an LA area or a Golden State area or a San Francisco area. The real fake sports fan comes out. They really do. Not only was Miller's Ale House packed, it was packed with Golden State Warrior fans with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Mark Jackson jerseys walking around Miller's Ale House. I'm talking about, there was about 1,000 people there. You couldn't even find a seat because the Golden State Warriors were in there. There are so many Golden State fake Warrior fans here in New York. It's ridiculous. And it's not because, and I'm not blaming the NBA because they know how to sell a product and they know how to sell the player. I yell at the NBA because they forgot the competitive nature that the NBA should be. Even LeBron James, you kidding me?
Tons of them.
LeBron James, when he loses a championship, he knows he's going to go back the next year with another team. So what does he have to worry about?
And his fans are going to follow him wherever he goes.
Exactly, a.k.a. Mike Guido. I guarantee you Mike Guido is not, as much as he says he's a Cleveland Cavs fan, he's not a Cleveland Cavs fan right now.
No.
I beg to differ on it. He was a Cleveland Cavs fan because of LeBron James. And that's the problem with professional sports. It's become a business. It's not about, when I was a kid and I was a New York Knicks fan, I hated the Bulls. I hated Michael Jordan. I hated Scottie Pippen, and I didn't even want to hear the name Horace Grant out there in the 90s. I never even want to listen to it. Dennis Rodman, when he went to, in 1995, when he went to the Bulls, and then Michael Jordan came back in 95, 96, I knew how good that team was going to be, and I hated them because I was a Knicks fan, and when Michael Jordan was finally retired for 2 years, I thought it was the Knicks' opportunity to win a championship, and then they go against the Rockets in 94, and they get their butts whipped when they were up 3-2.
They were up 3-2, yeah. They got blown out in that Game 7, too, right?
And they hated each other, and that's because John Starks hit like 17, 18 brick three-point shots. Mm-hmm. And Charles Smith can't put up a layup. I mean, I'm telling you, and I still hate the Chicago Bulls to this day, and they're lifeless. They don't have Michael Jordan.
Yeah, they haven't been relevant since Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler were together, probably in 13, 14.
Yeah. I still can't stand that organization because I grew up to hate them. These kids don't know what it is to hate a team, an organization. Over the years in the 80s, why did they call the Yankees the evil empire in the 80s going into the 90s to the new era? They called them the evil empire because they always won. Then you talk about the Red Sox, how they've dominated the last 15 years. What are you going to call them? Or the Giants? I mean, this is, and you look at the fans now, these kids, these millennials, I don't think they really follow the sports as much as maybe the old timers do, or the 40s and 50 and 60-year-olds.
No, they definitely don't. They're definitely more player.
It's all about fantasy.
Especially with basketball, it's really with the players. Baseball, too, to an extent. They just like the players. They like, again, getting autographs, getting their jerseys. That's what they like now. They don't really follow as closely with the teams. My youngest brother's great.
Who cares about your younger brother?
My youngest brother's great. I know some of his friends, they were definitely like that, where they didn't really know the team well. They just knew certain players. Like, they didn't follow it like I did when I was his age.
But this ruins sports.
It does. It
does because I'm sorry. I understand there are front runners out there. I understand. Mikey C is a front runner. I say this all the time. If you guys know Mikey C, he is a Boston Celtic fan because of Larry Bird. Because he loved the great three-point white guy that would go into the corner and hit the big shot in the games in the 80s. And he wanted to find somebody to follow, and that was Larry Bird. I mean, how many people? I'll say I was a front runner when it came to hockey because I was a John Van Biesberg fan.
But that was your player, though.
That was my player, yes.
You didn't watch him because they were in the finals all the time, and because he was on a loaded team. You watched him because he was your icon of a hockey player.
A hockey player, yes. But I still followed. Eventually, became an Islander fan, and I stuck with the Islanders. But these kids, and I understand it's a business. I understand the game is now, it's all about fantasy. It's all about betting. We all know this, and it's changed everything in professional sports. Betting is going to change everything. When it becomes legalized here in New York, you see what it's doing in New Jersey, and a lot of New Yorkers are going over the cross island or whatever the heck you have to go to George Washington to get into New Jersey just to make bets. And then they come right back to New York. Over 60% of the bets from New Jersey are New Yorkers. And I think the business of the game has changed. It's transitioned the game. And now the players, to me, are not playing as hard to win those titles. It's not a big deal to win those championships like we've seen over the years. Like I said, the Baltimore Ravens or the New York Giants. When they get into the playoffs and what they needed to do to go through the Bears or go against the Eagles or something like that.
No, don't remind me of the Eagles. Those playoff games were heartbreaking.
I mean, seriously. But these kids, they don't care about the playoffs because if it's Odell Beckham, like here in New York, when Odell Beckham was the only real big superstar on the team, everybody loved Odell Beckham. Then all of a sudden he started opening his mouth and doing stupid things. The old-timers opened their mouths. And they wanted Odell Beckham out, and eventually Mara gave them their wish. Now, I understand that. To me, that was the smart move when it comes to business. But was it?
I don't know. Too early to tell, but probably not.
I mean, to me, the way the business of the game has transitioned, it's ruined the game, the competitive fashion of the game. You have players that want to go and play with their friends now in the NBA to win titles. Meanwhile, you would never see Larry Bird and Magic Johnson band together to go and dominate the league. You would never see that. Or Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. Or Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal. You would never see that.
Now, do you think that's only a basketball issue, though? Or?
No, it's baseball, too.
Because baseball still had some level of competitive balance where they still have like maybe second-tier markets and mid-markets.
How many good teams are there in professional baseball? Seriously.
How many good teams?
How many good, really good teams are in professional baseball right now?
There's a difference between good and really good.
No, just tell me good teams. Give me the amount of good teams that are in baseball right now that are going to compete for a championship every year.
Okay, I would say the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Braves. I would say
the Braves just became one, so you can't really put them.
Yeah, but they've been a playoff team the last 2 years,
go ahead.
and they have one of the best farm systems. I would say the Twins are up there now. They had a very good offseason.
They're never going to win. Go ahead.
Well, if they play the Yankees, no, but they're up there. I would say the Cardinals are up there right now. I would say, let's see, the Phillies and the Phillies.
All right, so let's just say about 7 or 8 teams, really good teams they have a chance to win every single year. How many teams are there in the major leagues?
30.
There are 30 teams. That means that more than half, you can put them through. Go ahead. More than half of the teams in the major leagues, more than half of the teams in the major leagues are suffering. They have no chance of making it to the playoffs or going anywhere. Hold on one second, Anthony. Hold on one second. But to me, when you look at professional sports and the transition of the game, the business part of the game, it's ruining the game. Not for the millennials, but for the fans that, well, I'm sorry, not for the older fans, but for the millennials. Because the millennials don't understand what it's like to be a fan of a team growing up and being only a fan of one team.